The San Francisco 49ers coming off a huge playoff win against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now they travel back to Seattle for the divisional round. Why the run game was so key against Philly and continues to be next week on today's Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker at BD Peacock, at Coach Crocky. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Love our everydayers. Thanks for hanging with us, and thanks for making Locked On the number one sports podcast network. And we got a lot to get into today. Specifically talk about some of the players that stepped up, Croc, for the 49ers, replacement linebackers, some rookies. And many of the most important things that happened was against the run. And they really tightened up in the second half, Croc. And they're going to have to continue to be better next week against the Seattle Seahawks, because it was something that did them in against the Seahawks just a couple of weeks ago in that regular season finale. Lost the 49ers a chance to win the West and be the one seed and have home games in the playoffs. So that's why they're going on the road in the first place, Croc. So first of all, let's get the bad out of the way and talk about what needed to be cleaned up there. And then let's talk about what the 49ers started to do and what we saw them do and what they need to continue to do against the Seahawks next week as it pertains to the all-important run defense, which we saw was a huge focal point of the offseason for the 49ers. Came in, drafted 5 straight defensive players. The 49ers weren't worried about pass rushers. They were worried about run defenders. We're starting to see it from some of the rookie class now. And we saw it early from Mykel Williams. He's not in the lineup. What did you see from the 49ers run defense, especially early in the first half of that Eagles game?
Well, early there was a couple plays that stood out right away. Saquon Barkley ripped off a big run. I'm like, how does somebody rip off a big run like that? You know, where's the containment? So I watched the replay, excuse me, and I realized the cornerback. So typically when you're outside cornerback, right, even if you're responsible for the tight end or if for the receiver, right, and I'd have to look at the formation exactly again, but I do not believe there was a receiver to that side. So you have a tight end and you're reading the tight end. If the tight end blocks down, well, it's a run play. If the tight end releases, well, it's a pass play. Well, on this, the tight end blocked down. And a lot of times we like to use the phrase crack replace. So when he blocks down, now the corner has to step up and be the contained guy, right? Because now the edge can't do it. He has somebody blocking him from the outside in. And I saw Diamador Lenore just get a little too greedy, wanting to get in on the action, and he lost containment. As soon as they blocked down, the Eagles blocked down, he shot in kind of inside. Well, let the defensive linemen, the interior guys, and the linebackers help with that. But so there was nobody there for the cutback. And you watch Saquon, and he just bounces it outside. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people think, where's everybody at? It was supposed to be Diamador Lenore as the contained guy. Now, again, I hate to do that. I don't like being like saying something definite and then people killing him. Diamador Lenore was supposed to set the edge. But from my perspective, what it looked like, he was the contained guy. And there was no containment there. So that was a big hiccup. And it happened again with Diamador Lenore later in the game. So that was, or excuse me, after that play. So there were 2 big plays that happened where I felt like 49ers could have done better. And I feel like a bulk of Saquon Barkley's yards were off of a couple of those runs. Outside that, I thought the 49ers run defense actually fared very, very well.
I've got some numbers on exactly how well and when that kind of flipped for the San Francisco 49ers on defense. And do you think it's, and look, that specific play you're talking about, and I highlighted it last night as well, is one of the big plays early in the game, and it was like an uh-oh moment. If the 49ers were going to not be able to stop Saquon Barkley, it was going to be a long night, and they ended up doing a much better job, especially in the second half. But they had the same problem. It wasn't Lenore, it was Jair Brown the week before against the Seahawks, where he's the outside player and he gets sucked inside, peeks inside, and tries to get greedy, and then he gets completely washed out. And that ended up being a long touchdown run for Zach Charbonnet, and that was to the left side. And again, like we don't want to try to be definite. We're not in the huddle. We don't know what the exact play call is, but if those guys weren't contained on those plays, then nobody was contained on those plays, right? And so I think it's pretty clear what happened on some of those. Do you think it's more of the 49ers or more of Lenore being just too aggressive? Is he being reckless out there? Is he just being aggressive because he knows, man, we made it a focal point all week long that we need to stick our nose in there. We need to be better against the run. So is that just him trying to play football and being a little bit too aggressive because he knows he's trying to stop the run so hard? Or is that just, something else altogether where it's something that you just can't do?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just wanting to get in on the action and make a play. And Diamador Lenore, I mean, he does that very well, just as good as any cornerback in the NFL, like wanting to get in on the action. But unfortunately, when it comes to being a good run defense, a big part of it is everyone being very disciplined. Look, at the high school level, there's one scheme that I hate coaching against. It's the wing T, veer, because your linebackers have to be so disciplined. You can't take the cheese, can't go for all the fakes. You got to watch those guards. They're going to pull and take you to the play 9 times out of 10. But these high school kids, they start getting their eyes in the backfield and they're watching the ball. I want to make a play, and they to just do their job. And boom, that wing T ends up busting off a big 60, 70-yard run, right? We hate it. Well, Diamador Lenore, again, he's kind of taking the cheese, kind of trying to watch the ball instead of just doing his job. Guy blocks down. Okay, I come down. Now I'm the contain guy, keep everything in, and I make Saquon Barkley, if he is going to bounce it out, he's going to bounce it all the way out and have to bounce it out of bounds. And maybe he picks up 4 yards or something. But instead, you crash in because you want to get in on the action. Understandably, especially early in the game like that, but it's just a little undisciplined and you can't do it.
It was pretty amazing to see how the 49ers were able to get that fixed and get better against the run against the Philadelphia Eagles. So in the first half, the Eagles had 20 carries, 95 yards. That's 4.8 yards per carry. In the second half, the Eagles ran the ball 16 times for only 45 yards, which nearly cuts that in half to 2.8 yards per carry in the second half. And that was a huge difference for the 49ers to get that stuff fixed. And I think there was a lot of people that were involved in that. Clearly, the defense coordinator, Robert Saleh, and I think a lot of different players. We gave game balls out to a lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball last night, and especially a lot of people we're going to talk about right now. But just seeing what the numbers were for those players now. And you look at the leading tacklers for the 49ers. If you had to guess, who do you think was the leading tacklers for the 49ers in that game, Croc, yesterday?
Well, I kind of cheated and I know who it was, but it was the two linebackers.
The linebackers, and it was Marques Sigle who came in and replaced Jair Brown. And we gave kudos to all 3 of those players. Garrett Wallow led the 49ers with 11 tackles. Eric Kendricks had 10. It was really fun listening to Eric Kendricks talk about the opportunity he has and how hurt he was last year. And he said he never felt right all year last year. And to have this opportunity to be in a playoff environment. And he had a really good game, and he had that last pass breakup as well to seal the victory for the 49ers. And to see those guys go out there and not miss tackles and to go make plays was really impressive. And so, again, I think those linebackers deserve to be called out for their play and stepping in, and guys who were not even on the roster halfway through the season to come in within the last month and few weeks and be ready to play in a playoff environment and play that well and not miss tackles. And so phenomenal stuff from Garrett Wallow and the veteran Eric Kendricks. And it was really, I think, important to have Eric Kendricks and someone who was, played high level of football out there and able to communicate. And he was talking about how he got with, the linebacker coaches and, in the morning and before practice and after practice and trying to get everything ready to go. So he was ready for that moment. And I think that was a big theme for Kyle Shanahan, who spoke about the rookie Marques Sigle, who was had the third most tackles in that game. He had 8 tackles. And I want to talk about his PFF grades as well in a minute, Croc. But Kyle Shanahan said on Marques Sigle, his moment came in the playoffs and he was ready for it. And I think that is pretty phenomenal for a player who was kind of forgotten about. And he had a lot of run early in the season. And clearly the 49ers thought that Jair Brown was a better player and gave them a better opportunity to, be the veteran and be in the right places. And when called upon due to injury, Marques Sigle was able to jump in there and play and played phenomenally well. And you could just see the difference of that play, the deep ball to A.J. Brown that was incomplete. Seeing Marques Sigle close on that play, we haven't seen a safety close on a ball like that And he's got the athleticism. Remember, he ran a 4.37, I think. He ran fast at the combine. Like, he's got legitimate speed. And it's not just track speed. You see it on the field. He's got play speed as well. And you saw him coming downhill as a tackler. But the exciting thing for him is, and I think, maybe ball skills and being the last line of defense and being in the right place is probably something he had to work on, and why they chose Jair Brown and felt more trust in Jair Brown than they did in Marques Sigle. But to see him be able to close on a deep throw like that is something that not everybody possesses. And it would be really nice if the 49ers were able to develop Marques Sigle. And I hope he stays out there based on how he played in that game, because to be able to have that range is really helpful, especially with how much single high the 49ers play on the back end.
49ers been missing that type of speed, especially sideline to sideline. Last time you had a guy that had any type of range like that, a little bit with just Quincy Tart, but definitely Jimmy Ward.
Yep, exactly. Maybe the new Jimmy Ward in Marques Sigle, who can come down, and he played some nickel as well in college, and played a lot of nickel actually in college, and a versatile player. Can he solidify the back end to be that deep safety for the San Francisco 49ers going forward, man? It really looked like it against the Philadelphia Eagles, coming up big in a huge moment in the playoffs. More on some 49ers rookies, namely those defensive tackles that are developing and earning more and more play time late in the season and coming up big. Also, schedule makers unfair to the San Francisco 49ers. Next. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers is brought to you by Indeed. Have you ever hired someone who looked good on paper, but wasn't quite the right fit? You know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. If you're hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posts seen by other sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page to help you reach the right candidates faster. Let's say you need to hire someone for the show. If I needed to hire someone for the show, for the network, I'd go straight to Indeed, be very specific about what I need, real experience, not just resume buzzword. I don't ever need anybody for this show, though, because it's Peacock. It's Peacock for life here on Locked On 49ers. But I know that we have made a lot of hires in the network, and the network continues to grow, and Indeed has come up huge there. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help give you the premium job placement it deserves. And Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL is the place to find it. Just go to Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL right now and support the show by saying you heard about it and you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Today's episode is also brought to you by Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. And that's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with your customers. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number so nothing gets missed. And it's no surprise that Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. So make this year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free. Plus 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNFL. That's Quo, QUO.com/LockedOnNFL. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. All right, Croc, really quick, back to the rookie Marques Sigle and how well he played. 40 snaps on defense was Marques Sigle. He played 24 of those snaps in coverage, 16 versus the run. We saw him make plays against the run in space. We saw him tackling wide receivers. We saw him tackling running backs. We saw him tackling quarterbacks. And I love that even after the roughing penalty, which we both agreed post-game, Croc, was BS, he came back and thumped Jalen Hurts like 2 plays later. And so he wasn't scared of the moment. I love seeing that. He had 8 tackles, no missed tackles. He had big stops, and He had a 73.1 defense grade, which is really good according to PFF, 76.6 against the run, and 82.6 tackling grade. So just what the 49ers needed was a bunch of players that tackled well. Sigle, Wallow, Eric Kendricks came up big in that regard against the Eagles, and they're going to have to do it again next week against the Seattle Seahawks.
I was just about to say that. Now you have to do it all again. I ran into, I was wearing a 49er hat in the gym earlier today. A lot of people, shout out to all the gym goers with the 49er gear on today. And, people proud with how the 49ers played. And one of the guys was like, man, how about that game from the 49ers? And I said, yep. But the crazy thing is you got to do it again. And
yeah, I know.
Just like that, right? You can't have the bad tackling performance week 18. Okay, you tackle very well against Philly. Now you got to tackle again against the Seattle Seahawks. And last time, just bad angles, poor pursuit. Everything was just bad. They let Charbonnet and Walker run wild on them. But if you could take some better angles and just get those guys down right now, they'll be all right. This will be the most disciplined that the 49ers defense will have to be all season.
So, Croc, just a minute ago, I brought up the first half, second half stats, and this is pretty telling as well. So the Eagles, and I want to talk about the rookie defensive tackles, and specifically, I think CJ West is just going to be a monster on the inside. He may never be a big-time third down pass rusher, but, man, first and second down, CJ West, I think, is going to be a long-term starter for the 49ers, and in that DJ Jones type of a role. Eagles had 19 carries for 85 yards, which is nearly identical to what their first half rushing was earlier. I said 20 rushes for 9.95 yards in the first half. That's 4.8 yards per carry. And so basically the same numbers, 19 carries for 85 yards when 49ers rookie defensive tackle, shout out to Nick Wagner of ESPN who put these numbers together. 4.5 yards per carry when rookie defensive tackle CJ West was not on the field. When CJ West was on the field, they had 70 carries for 55 yards, which is 3.2 yards per carry. And he played a lot more in the second half. He's played a little bit more every single week. I tend to think, and I've been saying it for a while, Croc, I think West and Alfred Collins should get the bulk of those snaps on the interior, and we should see less of Elliott and Kalia Davis, and those should be the rotational guys behind them. It's kind of slowly happening that way, but we saw this with Jair Brown and Marques Sigle. They're going to lean into the veterans a little bit more, and they trust them a little bit more. And I get that, but I think the rookies are really knocking on the door and proving that they need to be out on the field a lot more, whether it's Sigle, West, or Collins, and especially CJ West against the run. And here we go, it gets even better. When CJ West and Alfred Collins were the two defensive tackles on the field together, the Eagles had 13 carries for only 38 yards, which is 2.9 yards per carry. So there you go. The rookies might not be big time pass rushers right now, but Michael Williams was very similar, man. These guys can play against the run. And so that's exciting stuff for the San Francisco 49ers. And they're going to have to lean on their rookies to go win this thing, Croc, which is kind of crazy.
Well, if I'm the 49ers and I know I'm playing against Sam Darnold, a guy who definitely is prone to turning the ball over, first and foremost, I want to take something away. And if you go back to week 18, I think that was one of the bigger issues. The 49ers defense, they were on their heels the entire game. Whether there's a run or a pass, it's just, hey, we could run and we're running that wheel and picking up 6 yards a carry. Then, okay, we want to throw the ball and there's plenty of time. And he's able to, get to his spots. And even then, they still only scored 13 points. But as you get into this game, take something away. I'm either going to take away the run or the pass. And I'd rather take away the run in this game and force Sam Darnold to beat you. Now, obviously, Sam Darnold having a terrific year. He's had a ton of wins over the last couple of seasons. But again, he's prone to turning the ball over. And you get turnover, obviously, it increases your chances of winning. So if I'm the 49ers, Charbonnet, Walker, they are not beating you. Make Sam Darnold have to beat you. That would be priority number one. We're going to make Sam Darnold have to throw the ball to beat us. I don't care if we have to load the box. And I'm not saying that he won't get his. Jackson Smith-Njigba has had a terrific season. And that's a guy, it seems like he's primed to just go over 100 yards again. Who cares? Make those guys beat you. It cannot be Charbonnet and Walker.
And obviously, another big-time rookie for the 49ers that has played awesome the last few weeks is Upton Stout as well, doing some big-time developing on defense. So rookie class coming to play right now, and they're going to need him if they continue to win football games here in the playoffs. By the way, you mentioned Sam Darnold. How about this for a quick Sam Darnold note? Career playoff passing touchdowns. Juwan Jennings, 2, which is twice as many as Sam Darnold's 1. There you go. Next, let's talk scheduling. Did the 49ers get screwed by the NFL getting scheduled on Saturday instead of Sunday for the divisional round? And what about the other side of things? 49ers running the football on the offense as well, which is going to be key. So many good things from Christian McCaffrey in that last game. Let's talk about that as well next. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by Gusto. Let's be real. No one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings. In fact, I was a business major in college, and I was like, I am not going to sit through accounting classes anymore. I don't know if I even want to run a business. I didn't have Gusto at that point as something that I could think about in my future to take care of some of these things. And calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll spreadsheets, that's where Gusto comes in to take the stress out of payroll. Benefits, HR, so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is an all-in-one remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle or hidden fees. Unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price, which means no surprise charges at the end of the month. Gusto's automated tools like offer letters, onboarding materials, and direct deposits save hours every week. So try Gusto today at gusto.com/lockedonnfl and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right. 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/lockedonnfl. One more time. That's gusto.com/lockedonnfl. Wildcard playoff round is here. It's almost over. About to the Monday Nighter is about to happen as we record this with the Steelers and the Houston Texans. So don't know the outcome of that. But for the divisional round, FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action because right now, every NFL playoff game day, we got Saturday and Sunday next weekend, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts so you can apply to the bets you like most. And it is the bets you like most because the boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. So you make your picks, then apply your profit boosts to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day.
Peacock, you said we don't know the results of the Texans and Steelers game yet, but
Well, I don't. Do you already know what's going to happen?
I'm going to be Nostradamus and say I'm taking the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I picked the Houston Texans earlier, much to my co-host chagrin, Matt Williamson on the NFL Six Pack. He's a Pittsburgh guy. He's been covering the Steelers for a long time, even though he was a scout for the Browns. He always had the it was kind of like when Croc was in camp with the Jets and had the 49ers phone cover, right? That's how Williamson was when he was in the front office.
I always tell that story about Crabtree rupturing his Achilles, and I'm the only person in that building that cared.
Yeah. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I do think the Houston Texans are going to – their defense is just unreal. And it's going to be too much for Aaron Rodgers, who wants to get the ball out of his hands and wants no part of that pass rush. Speaking of the 49ers run game, so on the offensive side of the ball, the 49ers haven't been running the ball great all season long. They had a nice little couple of games there where things were looking good. They couldn't run the ball against the Seahawks, couldn't run the ball against the Philadelphia Eagles. Christian McCaffrey, though, made some phenomenal catches in that football game. The 49ers don't win without Christian McCaffrey as a receiver, and he's been so good as a receiver. And I don't know what the answer is because Christian McCaffrey needs to be on the field for the 49ers. I don't know if he's really giving you anything extra as a runner. He's a good runner. Was he giving you anything great? But he's giving you greatness as a receiver. Seeing him go up in sky on one of those high passes from Christian McCaffrey over the middle of the field, I was like, who was that guy? That was Christian McCaffrey going up to make that catch? I didn't know he was an above the rim guy too. And then obviously going Willie Mays on the reverse pass from Juwan Jennings, which was a phenomenal catch. And every time Christian McCaffrey is targeting the passing game, it's worth twice as much as when they turn around and hand him the ball. Like, do you need to see a little bit more of Brian Robinson? Not just to even keep, because I mean, we're past that point. We're worrying about workloads. We're in the playoffs for Christian McCaffrey, but to be better running the football. Do they need to change anything up on offense? Because it feels like teams know what's coming in the run game, and the Niners haven't done a really good job of really taking advantage of anything on the ground almost all season long. Do they need to give more carries to somebody else, not to save McCaffrey, but to be better running the football potentially?
I feel like when it's there, he finds the hole and he does a really good job of maneuvering and getting there. But he's, and I had somebody comment today, Croc, you said he was washed. I did not say he's washed. I said he's lost some juice, which he has. And I think just that little juice, sometimes I think it's a little bit harder for him to create on his own the same way he was in previous years, right? So now he kind of just needs a little bit more help offensively. And if you're playing against a team that's like, look, we're going to take the run away, then yeah, you are better off splitting him out, putting him in the slot, matching him up against nickels or backers. I don't think it matters which one, because he is a terrific route runner. He understands where to find space, and he has terrific hands. And I wouldn't just stop at getting him the ball in the passing game. How about Kyle Juszczyk? I mean, the ball skills that he displayed in that game, there were some balls that were really low, and shout out to Brock Purdy, like keeping his receivers out of harm's way and not allowing them to take these shots, right? So I feel like he was being strategic with some of the location of those passes. But Juszczyk, man, reaching behind him to catch that ball again. If Purdy would have led him and threw it like a quote unquote perfect ball, right? Like just hit him in stride, Juszczyk would have got teed off on. But instead, he said, okay, I see that defender, let me throw it behind him. And Juszczyk seamlessly just reached behind him, caught the ball, got down, and I'm like, man, this guy's ball skills are tremendous. He had the big run after catch play where it's like, look at this guy in space. Did we add another yak, bro? And the 49ers have been looking for yards after catch. So I would say I wouldn't stop at just CMC and getting him more targets and maybe splitting him out a little bit more. Juszczyk, man, tight end too, however you want to look at it. But I feel like he needs to be involved a little bit more because he is good and he is essentially a mismatch. He has linebackers on him, and I think he beats those guys more times than not.
Do you think the schedule makers are against the San Francisco 49ers, Croc? And I've heard some listeners and some 49ers fans gripe about it, and it's like, I don't know. The one seeds, it was the same in the past. The one seeds that have the bye usually play on Saturdays, and I think that's all it is. But when it comes from NFL great Tony Dungy, I listen a little bit more. This is what Tony Dungy had to say, Croc, and you tell me what you think. He said, NFL playoff scheduling is not fair. It might produce good ratings, but it's not fair. This late in the season, recovery time is crucial, and it is not given the quality. Rams and Bears played Saturday games. They will face each other on Sunday with an extra day of rest. 49ers played on Sunday and will face Seattle on Saturday, short week of recovery. And, of course, that's also after Seattle's coming off a full week of rest and a bye, and the 49ers get a short week. So what do you think about that? Teams playing teams playing Sunday, they have to come back and play Saturday on short rest against a team that just is coming off a bye, Croc, like the 49ers and the Seahawks.
Oh, very inconsiderate of the 49ers. I would think that's the first thing you think of. All right, this team has been on a long break. You can't just schedule them against a team that played Sunday when other teams played on Saturday. So you're going to give these guys the extra day, and you're going to shorten up the rest days for the San Francisco 49ers, a team that is already beat up. Like, come on, what are we doing? And from my understanding, and I saw a tweet this morning, I think you and I were both tagged in it. It says something along the lines of the 49ers have had a short week 3 out of the last 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. So considering that, I mean, it's just, and 3 out of the last 4 weeks, I believe that's including this Saturday that they'll play. But like, give the 49ers some kind of break.
They had the Monday nighter, then they had a short week, then they had a Saturday game, which is a short week, and then now they have this game going from Sunday to Saturday as well. Yeah. So it's rough. I don't know. It's kind of predetermined, and I think that's the way the league wants it, so they can wash their hands of it and say, we're not trying to do anything. The bye week teams are going to play at home on Saturday. That's it. And I think that's just how it's going to be. And it's just unfortunate that it turned out that the 49ers are going to get the short week. And it turns out it is somewhat unfair, but it's also just, I think it's just the way it's set up. So that way the league doesn't have to try to play favorites and try to make it all work. Because then that maybe would seem like it's unfair too to some teams. Like, well, why did you give them the benefit? So the league just says, look, the bye week teams, they play Saturday. So you get the Seahawks hosting and you get the Denver Broncos hosting on the Saturday game. But it isn't fair. And it's not good that the 49ers at this point in the season with all the injuries they have. Trent Williams is talking about how he knew there was not just a chance, but a big chance that he would re-injure his hamstring. And he still went out there and played. And we saw that with George Kittle. And by the way, to tease, we're going to talk on Winky Wednesday tomorrow. We got to talk about Ricky Pearsall and him not being out there because he's drawn the ire of some fans that think, look, all these guys are warriors. Where you at, Ricky Pearsall? So we're going to get into that on tomorrow's show. We're going to talk a lot more about those Seattle Seahawks, a divisional round matchup coming quick. It's on a short week, Saturday. So stay tuned here. Check out the Everydayer Club, LockedOn49ers.supercast.com. Ad-free feeds of this Locked On 49ers program, members-only Discord access, and more. LockedOn49ers.supercast.com, or check the link in the show notes. And Croc and I back tomorrow right here, Locked On 49ers.